Hi everyone, my name is Kevin Floyd. I'm with the El Paso Trans-Pecos Audubon Society.
Hello everybody, my name is Mariflor Garcia and I am with the Frontera Land Alliance. And today we are going to be talking about desert plant adaptations. We are currently at the El Paso Museum of Archaeology, and behind me are the beautiful Franklin Mountains, which are part of the Chihuahuan Desert. And as you already know, our desert is very hot and dry. And it's a very harsh environment to live in, but there's still plenty of plant life around. So how is that? Well, these plants have adapted to our environment, and these adaptations have allowed them to be successful to the hot and dryness of our desert.
There are a lot of different types of adaptations that our desert plants have, but they can generally be divided into two categories, either escape strategies or tolerance strategies. Escape strategies mean finding places that are not as hot and dry, so escaping the heat, escaping the dryness. So areas like wetlands, areas like along the river or along arroyos. In this case, the plants are able to escape these difficult conditions and still survive in our area. The tolerance strategies are for when the plants can't escape, when you have plants that are able to survive out in the open desert. These allow them to tolerate the heat and the dryness. And so today we're going to look at some examples of our desert plants and talk about the types of adaptations that they have for surviving here in the hot and dry environment. A lot of the plants that have tolerance adaptations are involving water loss or the prevention of water loss. When you live in a desert and there's not much water out there, it's really important to be able to conserve what water the plants are able to get. One of the main ways that plants lose water is through their leaves, through a process called transpiration, which is essentially just the evaporation of water out of the leaf. This is a necessary part of gas exchange, where the plants bring in carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, but in doing so allow water to escape. A lot of desert plants have very small leaves, such as this honey mesquite. This honey mesquite actually has compound leaves, where each of the individual leaves is composed of several small leaflets. These smaller leaves reduce the surface area that the plants have, which reduces how much heating they have. When they don't heat up as much, they don't have to use as much water to cool down. That allows them to conserve water.
Many desert plants, like this creosote bush behind me, which has many adaptations, but one of them is it'll have a waxy coating called a cuticle, which allows it to help prevent water from escaping the leaves.
Some plants only grow their leaves in response to rain and then drop them shortly thereafter. These types of plants are called drought deciduous because they lose their leaves in response to the lack of rain. One great example of that are the ocotillos that we see here. You can see this one leafed out in response to the rain that we had a few weeks ago, but already it's starting to yellow and those leaves are going to fall off pretty soon because we haven't had water since then. By doing this, the leaves that lose a lot of water are only present when there's more water in the environment. The rest of the year, when there's less water, there's no leaves, less water loss, and the plant often just looks like a bunch of dead sticks.
Here we have a barrel cactus, and this cactus has a lot of different adaptations to our desert, but the one adaptation we will be talking about is the ridges that this barrel cactus has. So the ridges on this barrel cactus help it to expand, to absorb more water when it rains, and to contract when it is drier. Now, another thing you can note about this barrel cactus is that the ridges give it some shade to prevent water loss. Here we have a cholla cactus, and one of the many adaptations that this cholla has is the spines. The spines give the cholla shade, a protection from the heat, and it also protects it from predators. Here we have an agave lechuguilla, and this plant has adapted to our desert by having a funnel shape, which allows to direct water when it rains directed down to its roots. Succulent plants, like this prickly pear cactus that we have right here, are able to adapt by absorbing water into their bodies. So they will take up water when it rains and store it in their pads and that water can be used during drier conditions.
Another way to escape is to only be active when conditions are wetter or when they're cooler. A lot of our desert wildflowers are actually annuals, meaning that they germinate, grow, flower, set seed, and die all in the same year. This strategy allows them to grow only when conditions are favorable, such as in the spring when it's cooler and wetter, or in the late summer after our monsoon rains have happened. One of our most famous examples of desert wildflowers are our Mexican gold poppies that typically grow in the spring here in northeast El Paso, near the Archaeology Museum. If we have a wet winter with lots of rain and snow, this entire area can be carpeted with fields of gold poppies. However, if we have a dry year, very few poppies germinate. Those seeds stay in the ground waiting for those good conditions, and the poppies are not as impressive that year. By now in the late summer, all of the poppies have died. However, their seeds are still sitting here in the soil, waiting for those good conditions, those cooler and wetter conditions where they can germinate and grow and flower for the next year.
I am now at the Rio Bosque Wetlands Park, and here we have a perfect example of an escape adaptation. The cottonwood trees will grow along bodies of water, and due to all that water that's available to them, they do not have the adaptations that you've learned about from the other plants. The cottonwood tree does not have little leaves or a waxy coating or spines to help it adapt to our desert.
We're here at Rio Bosque still to talk about another adaptation that a lot of desert plants have, in this case to protect them from the sun. Plants like this globe mallow have fuzzy leaves and light-colored leaves. The fuzz acts as a sunscreen to help block some of the light that comes down from the sun. The light color helps to reflect some of the sun, keeping the leaf cooler.